Number 7, technological reliance versus cognitive autonomy. You probably cannot recall more than 2 or 3 phone numbers from memory, not your best friends, not your partner's, maybe not even your own without double checking. A decade ago, most people could recall at least a handful effortlessly. It's not because you're getting old, it is a trade you are unconsciously making. Every time you outsource a mental task to a phone or a search engine, the brain registers that the internal function is no longer needed, so it gradually reduces its cognitive energy in that circuit. Scientists call this cognitive offloading, and although it frees up mental capacity, it also leads to atrophy. It's where you get the saying, you either use it or you lose it. The tools themselves are not the problem. AI drafting your emails, GPS rerouting your commute, search engines replacing recall, each one solves a real problem in real time. The trade off is the slow decline of the underlying capability from the dependency of these tools. The person who practiced the skill without the aid remains functional and capable. And in today's technological era, it's very easy to blindly rely on it every chance you get. But the most underrated skill is learning how to use it and incorporate it as a partner and tool to improve yourself holistically. Number 6, speed versus accuracy. You have sent an email, hit send, and spotted the error in the same second. Scientifically, the faster a decision happens, the higher the probability it contains a mistake. Researchers model this through the drift diffusion framework, which shows that faster decisions are structurally less accurate. Not because people get careless, but because under the pressure of time, the brain will not be thorough. It processes less information and commits to a decision which simply has a higher error rate. It's like cramming your final project on the last day, producing mediocre results at best. This mechanism evolved for survival in unpredictable prehistoric environments, where hesitation meant predation and a quick, imperfect choice meant living to fight another day. The problem is, we now live in a world that rewards speed, from email response times to business calls, training us toward habitual impulsivity in situations that actually deserve patience. The practical adjustment is knowing which category a decision falls into. In high stakes, such as in medicine, engineering, and high consequence decisions, the cost of the error exceeds the cost of the delay. That's why it takes so long for vaccines and medicines to be approved, because any error can lead to significant irreversible damages. And in a world that rewards speed, one of the most valuable skills is knowing what decisions require more time. Number 5, comfort versus resilience. Modern life has engineered almost all meaningful discomfort out of your day. You don't need to hunt nor cook. You can use food delivery apps. You can take the elevators instead of the stairs. Your home holds the same comfortable temperature year round. And your body has adapted to the luxuries and comfort of the modern world. In a sense, this is human progress, but the problem is that the physiological systems that build resilience, cardiovascular flexibility, immune robustness, metabolic adaptability, are forged through exposure to moderate stress. Remove those stressors, and those systems regress toward the minimum the environment demands. It's like doing the bare minimum to get a passing grade. Scientists call this hormesis, the principle that small, controlled stressors make systems stronger, while the complete absence of stress makes them weaker. For example, cold exposure triggers a 200 to 300% surge in norepinephrine, which trains the nervous system's response to adrenaline over time and builds what researchers call a stress inoculation effect. Exercise creates micro tears in muscle that rebuild stronger. Heat triggers heat shock proteins that protect cells. All of it follows the same logic. The body is not designed to be comfortable. It is designed to adapt. It's why children who played outdoors tend to have a stronger immune system. So don't get too comfortable being comfortable. Deliberately build discomforts into your life. It's not self punishment, you're building resilience and you're fighting against regression. Number four, efficiency versus creativity. Google gave its engineers 20% of their working time to pursue whatever they wanted with zero deliverables attached. Gmail was born out of it. Most creative ideas you have usually don't happen when you're completely focused in deep work mode. It happens in the shower, on a walk, or just doing anything that puts you in a relaxed state of mind. That's not a coincidence. The brain operates on two networks that trade off against each other. The task positive network handles focused, goal directed, and efficient work. The default mode network handles wandering, associative, and unstructured thinking. And during this time, your brain is subconsciously forming connections and relationships across everything to create new ideas. It's like letting everything marinate. In science, they call this incubation. A study confirmed that creative ability is directly tied to the interaction between these two networks. You cannot force that interaction. Optimizing every hour of your day is optimizing away the conditions your brain needs to produce original and novel ideas. Excessive scheduling and relentless output metrics correlate with reduced innovation and fewer breakthrough ideas. The most productive version of you and the most creative version of you need different conditions. Unstructured time is not wasted time, it is a prerequisite for creativity. So take a break and let your mind wander. It's where innovation and creativity is born. Number three, choice abundance versus satisfaction. You just spent 30 minutes looking at the endless options on Netflix. You finished the movie and it left you slightly dissatisfied. You're thinking you probably should have watched the other movie instead, but the issue wasn't what you chose, it was everything you left unchosen, sitting in a mental queue as a persistent suggestion that you might have enjoyed the other movie more. Psychologist Barry Schwartz named this the paradox of choice. The counterintuitive finding that more options do not generate more satisfaction, they generate more comparison, more anticipated regret, and measurably lower post-decision happiness than smaller choice sets produce. Your brain has a finite decision-making budget. It starts off full when you wake up, and every option you evaluate costs cognitive energy. Maximize across too many dimensions simultaneously, and what should feel like freedom starts to register as exhaustion. And we now live inside this paradox permanently with infinite content, infinite products, social media platforms, and a plethora of services. The sheer volume of available decisions is draining cognitive resources that would otherwise go toward living. The people who have figured this out are the ones who create deliberate constraints. They decide in advance what matters and ignore the rest. Not because they have fewer options, but because they understand that unlimited options is not freedom. It is just a more sophisticated form of being stuck. So be aware and deliberate on how you spent your cognitive energy. Sometimes more options is not as luxurious as you think. Number two, exploration versus exploitation. You have a restaurant you return to every time, a playlist you cycle back to, a way of working that feels reliable enough that trying something different feels like an unnecessary risk. And you've probably heard the saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Researchers call this the explore-exploit trade-off, one of the most fundamental tensions the brain manages moment to moment. Exploitation means staying in the familiar that has consistently proven to work. Exploration means the uncertainty and risks that comes with trying something new and unknown to gather information that potentially could lead to nothing. And your brain is constantly running these calculations. Brain imaging links these to distinct circuits, Prefrontal regions estimate long-term value and drive exploration, while striatal systems leans towards the safe and comfortable routine and pushes toward exploitation. When environments are stable, exploitation wins and makes sense. But in environments that are dynamic, chronic exploitation leads to stagnation. Organisms and organizations that only repeat what already worked are the ones that get replaced. The research shows that individuals in stable, familiar environments bias heavily toward exploitation and lose the exploratory flexibility they need when conditions change. In a world that keeps moving, leaning too far into the familiar is a reliable mechanism for getting left behind. So don't be stuck in your old ways, because there's always a better way. It'll just take facing the unknown. Number 1. Specialization versus general adaptability. For most of 20th century, the blueprint for a successful career was to pick one thing, dive deep, master it, and become indispensable. It was reliable because the world moved slowly enough that deep expertise in a single domain retained its value. Then the tools changed and industries restructured. That logic is breaking. David Epstein's research in Range documented that in complex, unpredictable environments, generalists who can connect ideas across domains consistently outperform narrow specialists. And the current environment is as complex and unpredictable as it has ever been. AI is automating the most definable, repeatable layers of specialist work and is continuously improving through every iteration. What AI cannot yet replicate is the ability to move across disciplines, synthesize unexpected combinations, and apply reasoning from one field to solve a problem in another. So the most durable professional asset in an environment that keeps shifting is the ability to connect across domains. The programmer who understands biology, the designer who understands behavioral economics, and the generalist who has built deep curiosity across several areas adapts faster, spots cross-domain patterns others miss, and remains relevant through disruptions. Curiosity compounds the same way interest does. It's a good time to be a jack of all trades. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe to see more.